Jesus, James, and Mark, and I'm Mark.
And I'm James.
I feel like the intro music was way loud there. I'm sorry.
Welcome,
but it's episode 50.
Yeah.
It's episode 50.
We're celebrating.
So we're coming in hot today. We're excited. We are excited. I think for two reasons. One, because it is episode 50 of Jesus, James, and Mark, and I am Mark.
And I'm James.
And we are we are here, two ordinary men. We'd say ordinary. But you know what? Every now and then we can be extraordinary thanks to Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
And we are just two guys exploring the Word of God. We are glad to have you. You can find this podcast on Apple Podcast, on Spotify, iHeart, as well as Audible or Amazon Music. Find us on YouTube, Jesus, James, and Mark as well. Find us on Facebook at Jesus, James, and Mark. And send us an email, jesusjamesmark@gmail.com.
Or comment on one of the...
Please do. Subscribe. Hit that bell. I found out
notification bell.
That if you hit the notification bell and subscribe, it makes an angel gets his wings. Is that the old saying from the is it Jimmy Stewart?
Feels like you're overpromising.
I am overpromising there. It's not true. It's not true. And let me be truthful, because that's what we're here to talk about, is the truth.
We're trying to explore the truth.
And as we always say, the one thing we do know is what?
Christ and him crucified.
Which is
1 Corinthians
2:2. All right, so excited because it's episode 50.
This is a milestone for us, I feel like.
It is. Yeah. It is a genuine number milestone.
Mm-hmm.
We're also on chapter 25 of Genesis, which is the halfway point of Genesis. So we're halfway through that.
And 50 is half of 100.
50. So it feels like there's but we also didn't get a chance to. We're in the time. You may be listening to this and you may have just finished episode 49, and then you're just and God bless you, rolling right into episode 50. But in real time, it's been 2 weeks since we've been able to get together, because it's a busy time. We also do high school football for our local team. Go West Craven Eagles. We actually have a game tonight, playing the Washington Pam Pack. And so
tune into that.
Tune into that. Find us on that too, Friday Night Football. But Chop James, but Chop as we call him here on the show. He travels. He's got some going to Africa.
I will be going to Africa in about 3 weeks, I think.
And they say the rains are blessed in Africa, down in Africa.
Yeah, we'll see.
It's going to take some time.
Yeah.
Look.
To find the things I never had.
So we're getting off to a really bumpy start. But in all seriousness, it's going to be like that because it's also the holiday season.
Yes.
And if you see us on YouTube or you see us on Facebook, because there's a video representation of the show, if you just listen on the podcast, you can see the show, which, viewer discretion, right?
Yeah.
Which
I think is the better way.
I think so too. That way you can see what's going on. Yeah. But you may see that my friend over here looks a lot like a certain holiday character. And so yes, a jolly holiday character. And so anyways, it does get busy this time of year. And so if you are sort of on the real time and we miss a week, please be patient. We could be back the following week or maybe another week. We also have talked about and are planning to at some point in the very near future, probably reel off 2 episodes a week at some point too in the very near future, which we have very much the capability of doing. Yeah. So we're more than likely in some of those weeks you may get the bonus episode. So that might be next week. Anyways, but I'm excited. I know you are too, because there's a couple of things that are going to happen in this conversation we're going to have today. And one of them is we're going to be talking about an area of the world that is, one of the hot button issues that everybody's talking about. And it's buzzword Israel, which we are talking about the beginning, the foundational stages of the nation of Israel right now, as we're just we're in the book of Genesis, and Abraham is that first stone, if you will, of this nation. The promise was built through was promised to him, and now where we left off the last time, Sarah, Abraham's wife, had passed away, and basically we had married, and she had the son Isaac, and Isaac had married, had found there was a connection there, and so Isaac has gotten married. So that's where we are now, into what we would say the second generation of the nation of Israel. And so as we're going to be talking about this today, that I think that's one of the interesting parts of this conversation is going to be, because the discussions are always like, whose land is this? Who has a real claim to this land? And again, we don't do politics on this show. No. We're just here to present the historical biblical narrative there that is free for you. And as we encourage, read this yourself.
Yes.
Gather your own information. Do your own research on this. This is just where we lie on this. And there's another one thing in here. There's a couple of other things. And then we had breakfast before this, and Chop has promised me something he's going to hit me with.
It's an interesting question that just kind of hit my head as I was preparing for this podcast. But we'll get to it. And we also have to remember that we're going to lose Abraham in this next reading.
Oh yeah.
And this is the passing of the covenant from him to Isaac.
Yes. We're also going to talk about Jacob and Esau today. Yes. And I'm excited to, and again, hopefully we can contain all of this stuff in here, because every time I read this, as I say, read this over and over again. And so personal confession here is that in the span of probably the last calendar year and a half, I did a Read the Bible in a Year, which was a reread program, and then I did a college program study on Genesis, and now we're doing this. So this is my, in the span of the year and a half, third deep dive into Genesis, and so I feel like a lot of this, what is again amazing is how every time something else gets brought into me, and so I'm gonna lead with this, is how my stance on Jacob had changed. So that's my teaser on that. Okay. So, because I'll explain when we get into that where I was.
I might have a nugget to throw in on that too.
On that, yeah. And then there's the other thing of this repeating things. Things repeat in the Bible a lot. And isn't there something to be said about something that gets repeated 3 times? We talk about that. Yeah. About 3 times and how that is very important. And so there's my other teaser for this. So I do I know we need to get to the reading, and I really want Chop to do the reading, because this is going to be one of those times when I have to be tested on how poorly I can read ancient Hebrew names, because
they're tough, man.
They are absolutely, and this is I think the part that maybe intimidates a lot of people when they go to read, because let me just say, if you've ever been in a management position and you've had to introduce yourself or get to know new people, the worst thing you can ever do now it is to mispronounce someone's name, like as they're there. Now, let me lift at least this: none of these people are alive, and you're not addressing them, but it sort of feels awkward in that way, doesn't it? It's like, man, I am butchering your name, Miss Path. I'm so sorry. But what's your and I've heard a lot of people say they just skip over it. I try to, because it feels important to try to say every word, or sometimes read every word. Do you painfully go through it? Do you skip over it?
Oh, I try to say it in my head when I'm reading. I try to make the attempt to say the name, but some of them I know I'm not getting it right.
Yeah, and I hate that, because as I said, the last thing I want to do is mispronounce your name. But hey, the good news is I'm not here to embarrass myself. So we're in Genesis 25. We're reading from the New King James Version. Here we go. 1. Abraham again took a wife, Because again, we just said that
Sarah had passed. Yeah.
And her name was Keturah. And she bore him Zimran, Jokshan, Medan, Midian, Ishbak, Shua. Jokshan begot Sheba and Dedan, and the sons of Dedan were Asherim, Letushim, Limum, and the sons of Midian were Epath, Epher, Hanosh, Abadiah, Eldah, and these were the children of Keturah. All right.
That was great.
I don't know if I got any of those right. Here we go. And Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. That is a very important part of this. Abraham gave all that he had to Isaac. Now that was the promise, that was everything, just so we can emphasize that. But Abraham gave gifts of the sons of the concubines which Abraham had. And while he was still living, he sent them eastward away from Isaac his son, the country of the east. Now I'm going to stop real quick because there is something very odd that happens here, and it's that it starts with Abraham took a wife, Keturah. And then he says, he gives all of his stuff to Isaac, and then he gives gifts to the children of his concubines.
Yeah.
And so you
got to think that Keturah is not the only one that he's having children with.
Well, even more so if you read, I believe it's First Chronicles 132 that says Keturah, Abraham's concubine.
Right. So I'm assuming that she was one of the concubines while Sarah was alive, and then
I'm guessing she was, and again
she was probably the top of the food chain, however you want to say it. But
this is one thing that I want to say, because I feel like, especially and I wanted to say that it would be exclusively to women, but I think it's anybody that just has a hard time reading this and understand, because again, we want to read the Bible as in today. Like, what can I grab from it today? And what happens is, if you're reading this and you have these marriage principles of one man, one woman, and you read about concubines and all this stuff, and it's like, okay, well, I'm disgusted beyond. This was, and again,
it was the culture.
I'm not excusing it. I am just saying this was the culture. And you can look through his history and see where cultures got it wrong badly. And this wasn't, probably see it in our own cultures.
So, I don't think that this was ordained at all by God. No. God didn't say that this is the way you should do it. And I think that's proven by the fact that even after Hagar had Ishmael, he still said, no, your offspring will be from Sarah.
All right, let me fumble through getting my glasses back on. Chop, by the way, says I just leave them on all the time because I can't see anything. All right, back to Genesis 25, starting with 7. This is the sum of years of Abraham's life. So now this is where Abraham's dying, which he had lived 175 years. Then Abraham breathed his last and died in a good old age, an old man and full of years, and was gathered to his people, which means he was buried in the same place where he just buried Sarah. And his sons Isaac and Ishmael buried him in the cave of Machpelah, which is before Mamre, in the field of Ephron, the son of Zohar the Hittite, in the field which Abraham purchased from the sons of Heth. There Abraham was buried, and Sarah his wife. And it came to pass after the death of Abraham that God blessed his son Isaac, and Isaac dwelt at Beer-lahai-roi. Now this is the genealogy of Ishmael. This is the other, remember Ishmael, okay? This is the other child, and the genealogy of Ishmael, Abraham's son, whom Hagar, the Egyptian, Sarah's maidservant, bore to Abraham. And these were the names of the sons of Ishmael by their names according to their generations. The firstborn of Ishmael, Nebajoth, then Kedar, Abdil, Mibsam, Mishma, Duma, Massa, Hadar, Tima, Jutar, Naphish, Kadima. These were the sons of Ishmael, and these were the names by the towns and their settlements. 12 princes according to their nations. You can go back. Remember Genesis 17, where he says, I'm going to bear you 12 sons, 12 nations. So there's the fulfilling of that prophecy. These were the years of the life of Ishmael, 137 years, and he breathed his last and died, and was gathered to his people. They dwelt from Havilah as far as Shur, which is east of Egypt, as you go towards Assyria. He died in the presence of all his brethren. This is the genealogy of Isaac, Abraham's son. Abraham begot Isaac. Isaac was 47 years old when he took Rebekah as wife.
40.
40, I'm sorry, you're right. 40 years old when he took Rebekah as his wife, the daughter of Bethuel, the Syrian of Padan Aram, the sister of Laban the Syrian. Now Isaac pleaded with the Lord for his wife because she was barren. And the Lord granted his plea, and Rebekah his wife conceived. But the children struggled together within her, and she said, If all is well, why am I like this? So she went to inquire to the Lord, and the Lord said to her, 2 nations are in your womb. 2 peoples shall be separated from your body. 1 people shall be stronger than the other, and the older shall serve the younger. So when her days were fulfilled for her to give birth, indeed there were twins in her womb, and the first came out red. He was like a hairy garment all over. Anyways, we'll get to that. So they called his name Esau, which means red, by the way. Afterward, his brother came out, and his hand took hold of Esau's heel, so his name was called Jacob, which means heel grabber. Now, Isaac was 67 years old when she bore them. So the boys grew, and Esau was a skillful hunter, a man of the field, but Jacob was a mild man, dwelling in tents. And Isaac loved Esau because he ate of his game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Now let's go ahead and read the whole thing, and then we can explain all of it. Now Jacob cooked a stew, and Esau came in from the field, and he was weary. And Esau said to Jacob, Please feed me with the same red stew, for I am weary. Therefore his name was called Edom. But Jacob said, Sell me your birthright as of this day. And Esau said, Look, I am about to die. So what is this birthright to me? Then Jacob said, Swear to me of this day. So he swore to him and sold his birthright to Jacob. And Jacob gave Esau bread and a stew of lentils. And then he ate and drank, arose, and went away. Thus Esau despised his birthright. Okay.
So I need to back way up.
Okay. So how far back?
Back to the beginning of the second reading.
Okay.
So Abraham's getting ready to die.
Yes.
He sends all of his concubine children away. And this is the question that I had for you.
Okay.
Why was Ishmael at the funeral?
They were family.
So was the ones he sent away. Abraham sent all the other sons away, but here's Isaac and Ishmael burying Abraham.
How about that?
Yeah. And so to me, and the way I was thinking about this, I was like, well, here's Ishmael back at the burial after he sent everybody away. And I think it was to make it positive that Isaac was the one who was the heir and Ishmael wasn't.
Right.
It also kind of struck me as odd that, well, I don't guess it was that odd. But anyway, Ishmael is there at the funeral, and it just struck me like, why is Ishmael there? And I couldn't think of any other reason except for the fact that it just had to be some kind of final proclamation.
Yeah. I mean, look, I haven't thought about that, but I mean, when we've had children and parents have these divides.
Yeah.
And your father sending you away is a divide. I mean, let's be honest. That's not a.
Well, he didn't want any competition, right? He didn't want any of the other children raising up and questioning Isaac's authority. So he sent him away. But why Ishmael is here? And the only really explanation I come up with is because he was the son of Sarah's handmaid.
Right.
Not a concubine. He was like closely. He was at the beginning, right? He was the firstborn, technically, even though he wasn't the one that everything was passed down
to. And look, I think in the reading too. No, so again, I think one, you're right. Yes, I think it was a sort of this is the, my father, I am the one that has the promise. He's had even more kids after you, because if you look at the kids, he had Ishmael, right? Mm-hmm. Then Isaac, then a bunch of other kids with Keturah, and so the maybe that was there. And then there's the other part of this is when you read back, it does, it appears that there was that Abraham loved Ishmael. Like there was a general, and so I think part of this is too. I mean, even when there's a divide, and your father passes away, you're going to go to the. It's like you're going to honor your father, and go. Even though you sent me away, you're not here to send me away anymore. I'll come and honor you. So I think the other part of that could be just, I'm going to bury my father because he is my father, regardless.
So would you guess that even so, though he had sent the other sons away, they came back? Even though they're not mentioned?
I'm with you. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. Because here's the other part of it is I don't know if we're going to get to 26 today, but if you get to 26 and it talks about where Ishmael and sort of like where he dwelt, I don't know, because even amongst his own people, again, this donkey-like man lived in conflict even amongst his own people. So
one other thing that I found.
So he might have been the only brother there, is what I'm saying. Yeah. Hard to tell, because again, it doesn't. We do know he was there.
Yep.
And that we can tell.
After this funeral, Ishmael is mentioned one more time in the Bible. His name is only written in the Bible one more time.
Okay.
This Ishmael. There's another Ishmael that shows up later on, but this Ishmael, one more time, and that's when Esau goes to take a wife from his people. But that's coming later. But that's the only other time that Ishmael is ever mentioned in the Bible.
And that's part of my Esau thing. Okay, so let's go back to, because so that's a good point, yeah. And I think it's something, man, I feel like that's a rabbit hole I want to dig down into. So because when we get to 26, and I was mentioning this when we talk about this Israel hot button thing, is there's getting ready to be a famine. And I want to talk about this. So he's going to go around where the Gaza Strip is now, but that's also where Esau, as you were talking about, goes to take a wife. But it furthers the part of this of where I was saying my change of stance on where I felt like for maybe a little while I kept trying to lean towards Esau, like I don't know, like
he was done wrong or something.
Right. However, like I said, it started to, and I knew this the first couple times, but it's really the more I dig into it now, especially when I go to 26 and talking about him taking the wife, because that wasn't honoring the same way his father chose a wife. That there was a particular discernment process. So, anyways, let me get to this, because I'm going to skip over this. I don't want to miss out on this lesson everybody should take. Because I feel like you're a man like me.
I guess.
We're both men. We're not maybe the same. But anyways, most guys, so so ladies, so a lot of times, a woman can tell you about something and maybe she just wants you to hear. Like, listen, right? Listen to what I'm saying. I don't need you to do anything. Just listen.
Yeah.
But in this case, Rebecca is barren. There's nothing more at this time for a woman to feel less than to be barren. And so there was nothing. And so from a man's standpoint, there had to be no more of a frustrating feeling than to know, one, I mean, yes, I'm sure he wanted to have offspring too. Mm-hmm. But in order to fix that, what can he do?
Right.
What could he do? Nothing. There's nothing you can do to fix this except pray.
He did.
I don't want to miss out the fact that what did Isaac do in this case, where he probably felt helpless, wanting to fix this situation, and knowing that, well, what can I do? And different, like I said, than his father, I would say, who again, remember, we'll take it upon ourselves. Here, take Hagar and let's go ahead and have this.
It was really Sarah that offered that, right?
It was. Yeah. But as I said, on the flip of this, Isaac goes to God and says, please, can you help me? And not only does God bless, but again, has two children. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, I think that you got to think about that too. I mean, I not only bless you, I'll bless you with two. Now, one, as she's pregnant, she's noticing that these two are struggling with each other, which means she can feel the tension in between these two.
And she does the same thing, right? She goes
to God. Yeah. So that's I feel like there's the lesson within the lesson. Yeah. We're studying this to get the historical context and to get more understanding, but at the same time that, as we say, we can pluck all these little tidbits of we are all faced with these situations. And this is a great example. And God told her, he was like, hey, this is you got two people in there. They're going to struggle with each other. And this furthers so again, for everybody, because the latter part of this is, of course, the famous story. Esau is dying. He's starving to death. He's been hunting all day, and he's coming. He's, I'm dying. Please feed me. And Jacob sees this opportunity.
Yeah.
And this is how I always seem to feel like I see it. It's that Jacob saw an opportunity. Right. It's like, boy, if anybody loves my stew, it is my brother. And he's going to come in here starving to death, and I'm going to get him. And I'm going to,
yeah.
But what I realize is, in further understanding is, Esau did not have the discipline to curtail his instant desires, his right. sort of, I got to have it and I got to have it now and I'll do everything I can. I will push everything aside.
Right.
The birthright wasn't just, because when we see it, we think about the possessions. The birthright was also the carrying on the traditions right. that you would be the next in line to continue these standards. And what you really see when you further into 26, as I was saying, when he selects this wife is, and at the end of it, when he says that Esau despised his birthright, he didn't despise it because Jacob stole it from him.
Right.
He just didn't want it anyway. He hated the responsibility of it. It got in the way of his wanting what he wanted right then.
And I thought this was a great example of a worldly view in a godly view, right?
Yes.
Jacob had a godly view.
A bigger picture.
The bigger picture. And how he went about getting the birthright may have been a little underhanded, but it goes back to the fact that his name, Jacob, means to grab the heel, which is used in Hebrew as a kind of like a snide remark to say that you're a sneaky, underhanded person. Right. So he did it in kind of that way. But Jacob can also mean, may God protect. So it's very fitting both ways, whichever way you choose to look at it. Jacob fit that profile.
And again, as I said, for years or for as long as I can remember, even at the beginning of this, I still saw it as, and neither one of these guys is doing good here. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
Jacob, the way he got it wasn't really good, but Esau didn't want it. And so
right. He would rather have the stew and right. be instantly gratified than have the responsibility of the birthright.
And before these kids were born, before we get all, oh, poor Esau, remember, God told Rebekah, the younger is going to serve, or excuse me, the older is going to serve the younger in this situation. And so I think that sort of freed me in that regard too. As I said, I want so badly sometimes to feel bad for Esau, but you and I talk about it. There's a responsibility and a bigger picture thinking than I'm going to suppress what I want right now because what I want right now is actually not the right thing for me to have right now. You know, as I said.
And you have to believe that he was probably overstating the fact that he was dying from hunger.
Oh, totally.
He just really wanted to eat. And that's how little his birthright meant to him.
Yeah, he was ready to quench his.
Yeah, and a lot of people will say that, this is all, God moving pieces. But again, I think God sees time laid out flat. He sees everything that has happened. He already knew how Esau's heart was going to be. So he knew that he was not going to respect his birthright. That's why he told Rebekah, the older will serve the younger.
We're doing so good. Get out your stuff again. Let's go to 26. Don't you feel like we can jump into this?
Oh, yeah,
right
let's
now?
hit it.
All right, here we go. Genesis 26:1. Isaac. This is interesting. This is where I had a little moment here, and here's where my deep dive is going to go.
Okay.
So we got two projects to work on. Here we go. So there's a famine in the land. This is Genesis 26:1. There's a famine in the land. Well, if it doesn't sound familiar, just wait.
Yeah.
Besides the first famine that was in the days of Abraham, and Isaac went to Abimelech, king of the Philistines, in Gerar. This is the Gaza Strip that we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Then the Lord appeared to him and said, "Do not go down to Egypt. Live in the land of which I shall tell you. Dwell in the land, and I will be with you and bless you. For to you and your descendants I give all these lands and I will perform the oath which I swore to Abraham your father, and I will make your descendants multiply as the stars of heaven, and I will give to your descendants all these lands, and in your seed all the nations of the earth shall be blessed, because Abraham obeyed my voice and kept my charge, my commandments, my statutes, my laws. So Isaac dwelt in Gerar, and the men of the place asked about his wife, and he said, she is my sister. For he was afraid to say, she is my wife, because he thought, lest the man of the place kill me for Rebekah, because she is beautiful to behold. Now it came to pass, when he had been there a long time, that Abimelech, king of the Philistines, looked through a window, and saw there was Isaac showing endearment to Rebekah his wife. Then Abimelech called Isaac and said, quite obviously, she is your wife. So how could you say she is my sister? Isaac said to him, because I said, lest I die on account of her. And Abimelech said, what is this you have done to us? One of the people might soon have lain with your wife, and you would have brought guilt on us. So Abimelech charged all his people, saying, he who touches this man or his wife shall be surely put to death. Then Isaac sowed in the land and reaped in the same year 100-fold, and the Lord blessed him, and the man began to prosper and continued prospering until he became very prosperous. For he had possessions of flocks and possessions of herds and a great number of servants. So the Philistines envied him. Now the Philistines had stopped up all the wells which his father's servants had dug in the days of Abraham his father, and they had filled them with earth. And Abimelech said to Isaac, go away from us, for you are much mightier than we. Then Isaac departed from there and pitched his tent in the valley of Gerar and dwelt there. And Isaac dug again the wells of water which they had dug in the days of Abraham his father, for the Philistines had stopped them up after the death of Abraham. He called them by the names which his father had called them. Also Isaac's servants dug in the valley and found a well of running water there. But the herdsmen of Gerar quarreled with Isaac's herdsmen, saying, the water is ours. So he called the name of the well Esek, because they quarreled with him. Then they dug another well, and they quarreled over that one also. Then he called its name Sitnah, and he moved from there and dug another well, and they did not quarrel over it. So he called its name Rehoboth, because he said, for now the Lord has made room for us, and we shall be fruitful in the land. Then he went up from there to Beersheba, and the Lord appeared to him the same night and said, I am the God of your father Abraham. Do not fear, for I am with you. I will bless you and multiply your descendants for my servant Abraham's sake. So he built an altar there and called on the name of the Lord, and he pitched his tent there. Isaac's servants dug a well, and Abimelech came to him from Gerar with Ahuzath, one of his friends, and Philcol, the commander of his army. And Isaac said to them, why have you come to me, since you hate me and have sent me away from you? But they said, we have certainly seen the Lord is with you. So we said, let there now be an oath between you and us, and let us make a covenant with you, that you will do us no harm, since we have not touched you, and since we have done things to you, we have done nothing to you but good, and have sent you away in peace. You are now the blessed of the Lord. So he made them a feast, and they ate and drank, and they arose early in the morning and swore an oath with one another. And Isaac sent them away, and they departed from him in peace. And it came to pass the same day that Isaac's servants came and told him about the well which they had dug, and said to him, we have found water. So he called it Sheba. Therefore the name of the city is Beersheba to this day. When Esau was 40 years old, he took as wives Judith, the daughter of Berhi the Hittite, and Basemath, the daughter of Elon the Hittite, and they were a grief of mind to Isaac and Rebekah.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'm going to get to Genesis 27, but man, I feel like all of this goes really well together. But I did want to at least get to that part of it, so that you can see that this is where this argument and land thing has begun. Now, yep. I've not done deep dives further. Like I said, but to some degree I have. But the truth of the matter is what you see is this is the nation of Israel.
Yep.
And they're already, and I wanted to get to that part so that we could at least, because I mentioned the fact that this is right now as we speak. If you do not know, if you've been under some big giant rock, there is in the Middle East, Israel and the surrounding areas, and this complete fight for who's in control, and there's all this absolute just horrific situation going on. I'm sure you have heard about it. And it has turned into this big political thing here in our country. And so what we want to present to you is this is how long, and this is just the documented part of this. I'm pretty sure this has gone on even long before that. But you see that Abraham had gone and built these wells. And then when Abraham died, people went and clogged up the wells.
Which was grounds for war during that time, because water was the life source for your flocks, for your family. And if you filled up somebody's well, you could look for some contention.
So as much as Abimelech and his people were making this oath with Isaac, it was as if once Abraham died, well, all that goodwill's over with. Yeah. Now we're going to go in there and reclaim all this land, and none of the stuff that we honored when Abraham was alive are we going to honor now that Abraham's dead.
And let's make sure we make it clear that this is not the same Abimelech that had issues,
because that's a title.
It is a title.
Abimelech is not a person.
A Philistine title, yeah.
That's a Philistine title. That's like president. That's
so once you get to that level, they just call you Abimelech.
Prime minister. Yeah. Insert your Pharaoh. Right. Not always the same person. It's a title. Yeah.
And we need to make sure that we notice what Isaac does when they fill up these wells. He doesn't cause any strife. He just goes and redigs them. So,
right. And it appeared they were just following him around and giving him a hard time. Then finally he found some place where they left him alone, and then he starts to do it there. And then this weird thing where they come to him, they say, hey, we see you're from God. We don't want no issues. And so again, I don't know how much is left out under there. I'm pretty sure there were some skirmishes and some differences.
Well, the herdsmen probably had a few.
Yeah,
because it says
fights, battles, quarrels, as they say. So,
and I thought the names of these whales. Did you look at what the meanings of those were?
Yeah, because each of them was named.
Yeah, so Esau was contention, dispute, or strife. Sitna, enmity, hostility, opposition, and then Rehoboth, which is the one that they didn't quarrel over, was room enough. So it's like, and it says that in the scripture in so many words that there was plenty of room in this last well that he dug. And I always think that the names, looking up the meanings of the names, is interesting to me.
Yeah, because again, unlike our current culture where we just name it because, man, that sounds really cool.
Yeah.
Names, meant something. We were trying to, or they were then. I wanted to. So at the end of this, there's this nice little passage where it says Esau went and took a couple of wives from the Hittites.
Yeah, well, which is basically the Canaanites, right? Which is what Abraham told his servant, don't let my son marry from the Canaanites.
And this is, as I said, this furthers that more of reading that again, and especially the part where this kind of grieved Rebecca and Isaac a little bit. That's sort of like when everybody's got family members. And I'm not here to shame, because the Lord forgives everybody, and we all fall short.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm just pointing out, everybody's got somebody, right, when somebody in your family does something that's, and you're just like, everybody's like, oh.
Yeah.
That was this moment where Isaac and Rebecca were holding these standards, and then they saw Esau, and he's like, oh, Esau, what are you doing?
It's Esau wanting instant gratification, right? He's like, sees these women, he wants to be these are my wives. He's just a very world.
Oh yeah. He's
world dominated.
He's got
mindset.
A little lot in him.
Yeah.
It's got a little lot in him. So I wanted to. There's another passage that I wanted to that I got. Then I was, I was talking about my whole thing about
your deep dive
about Esau, just changing my opinion and just understanding that even though Jacob acquired this in a way that I'm not too proud of, and no one should.
Yeah, but Esau could have said no.
Esau,
right.
yes,
yeah.
Esau could have said no, and even more so, just the fact that again he did not hold the standard that needed to be to be held, and so I think that's the thing that as I said, and look, Esau has a great redemptive moment. We're going to get later after Jacob wrestles and stuff like that. I feel like there's a good, nice
they have a moment. But
family moment. I'm
they're,
not saying it's a redemption. Yeah. I'm just saying
they have a moment, and then there's still a little contention down the road just because of the offspring of these unions that he's making. So
because decisions have consequences. I'm so sorry. Am I preaching? I'm getting really preachy over here.
Did you mean to shout?
Did I shout? Let's go to Hebrews 12, and I'm going to go Hebrews 12:15, New King James Version. Here we go with. In fact, I'll go back to 16, or excuse me, 14. Hebrews 12:14. Pursue peace with all people. I think there's something said about this when you talk about the fact that Isaac was having these quarrels. Peace is especially violence has been a word that has been used a lot over the last couple of weeks. Yeah. The opposite of violence is peace. So if you want the solution to violence, the solution is peace.
Yeah, I mean, Isaac did that, right? He dug a well, they quarreled, he moved on.
No other thing. No. Peace. That's it. Pursue peace with all people and holiness, without which no one will see the Lord. Looking carefully, lest anyone fall short of the grace of God, lest any root of bitterness springing up cause trouble, and by this many become defiled. Lest there be any fornicator or profane person like Esau, who for one morsel of food sold his birthright. For you know that afterward, when he wanted to inherit the blessing, he was rejected. For he found no place for repentance, through he sought it diligently with tears. So Hebrews doubles down on Esau's character. Yeah. And so, as I said, that also, like I said, is a moment for us. Oftentimes, we push aside the right thing to satisfy the moment. Then that's either letting your emotions get the best of you, as I said, or I'm going to make a bad decision that will cause horrific consequences down the road, but I don't care because it feels good.
Or we try to interpret things to justify ourselves. We're very good at that.
Absolutely. And so, again, there's a lot in here. So I know we unpacked a lot, and now we've left you with it.
A cliffhanger.
What's your big cliffhanger on this? Because as I said, the part I really wanted to get to this was the part in the next chapter, right, where it's talking about Ishmael and settling in and that, and we're not going to have time to do it because I'm looking at we don't have time to do it.
Well, there is a little teaser that Jacob is also going to find a wife, a couple.
Oh man!
But
Laban.
This whole situation right here leads to him having to flee for his life, and in that fleeing, he winds up with the people of Abraham to keep the seed in that line.
Yes.
Unlike Esau, who's already married these Canaanites, he'll go get one of Ishmael's daughters later, but he does that just because he sees that there's contention about his first wives. And he just wants to kind of go like, well, look, I got one of our family too. It's like an afterthought.
All right. Yeah, we're gonna have to wait till next week to get into some of this, but like I felt like, look, is there's just so much, and that's why.
I mean, everybody's not going to listen to a 3-hour podcast.
No,
we can't just keep
not
going.
Everybody. But when you read all of that, and we went through 2 chapters, it's why a lot of times what's really interesting is, especially when you're early in it, when you go to church and you go and the pastor has a sermon and there's literally 3 verses he's using, and you're looking at this big book and going, really, 3 verses?
Yeah.
And it's, again, one, if it's in context and it works, it works. Because I'm selling it on on the fact that when you get in to this, three lines of this book can be so much that you can't build an entire sermon around it. And I feel like even what we talked about, there are sub conversations to be had about all of these things, as I was saying, because here's the part that I didn't get to say. 3 times. That's a big thing in the Bible when something gets regurgitated 3 times like this. And so I haven't done the rabbit hole deep dive on this, but I feel like at least my initial reaction is. Now on the surface it's like, hey, don't go pretending that your wife is your sister. Like that. We saw this 3 times and we saw it generationally done.
Yeah.
And as I said, there's something weird when it appears back to back. Like it as I said, when you first time you read the Bible, when things repeat like that, you're like, okay, is this thing talking in circles right now? And then you go back and go, well, wait a minute. It's sort of like when people think, wait a minute, there was 2 feast feedings there. Yes. Yeah. And this was 3 separate times, twice with Abraham and once with Isaac. Now, again, part of it was that was just part of the culture. If you were married and you went into a hostile land, they'd kill you and take your woman.
Yeah. And I thought on this when I was reading that, and I was like, you have to imagine that as Isaac's growing up, he hears these stories, right? Like, Abraham's probably like, you ain't going to believe what I tried to do when we went to Egypt and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets in that situation and he goes like, well, I got to do something, right?
Right.
You just have to assume that he had heard the stories or knew of them.
I think in but here's the biggest thing. And again, right now that I can grab a hold of this. If you're married, so this is only for married people. And I guess married men, I don't know, because it's only from at least this point. And I don't want to speak for married women because I'm not a married woman. But but when I see this 3 times like this, and I'm going to see if anybody else has done because I feel like someone in some university has already done a 14-page thesis.
You think it's trying to tell us something?
I just think there's a lesson there. And on the surface, all I can say is when you notice he's being dishonorable about a relationship that was originally designed, Adam to Eve as a wife, as a 1 + 1 = 1, it brought shame and was not a good thing. The minute that he turned it around and started doing it right, he was blessed. And that was, in this case, but if you look at each one of those stories, that happened every time. It was doing it the wrong way, not, as I said, and again, I don't know how much to take from that, but man, when you hear the same story 3 times, it's either like, wow, that's just,
and it is the same lesson every time, right? They try to take it into their own hands, and when they go back to God, they wind up being blessed.
Right, and so all I can say is, don't be afraid, right, to stand up. Do you know what phrase appears more than any other phrase in the Bible? Fear not.
Right.
Fear not. And all 3 of those cases, the person was scared, so they dishonored their marriage by saying, hey, pretend you're not married.
Yeah.
Almost dishonored their marriage, and who knows what else could have happened, as I said. But I don't know. There is...
We have to believe that God is going to bless us at the start. We don't have to try to fix anything on our own accord. We're not in control.
And that's what happens. It feels like anytime we try to go on our own, it always ends up bad.
Yeah.
So let's. I guess this is it, right? We should probably wrap this up. I'm very excited to also say, happy 50th.
Thank you.
Happy 50th. We got through it, and from this point on, now it's we're on 50. 51, maybe 52 next week. You never know. We might get to 52 next week because I feel like we almost did 51 today. So, but we're gonna do this. Let's just pray real quick before we get off. Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving us an opportunity to discuss the Word, to share the Word, and we invite certainly everyone to read and discover, and more importantly, to develop a relationship with you, God. And so we thank you very much for this opportunity. We're praying for everyone out there, and we thank you for your grace and your mercy in all things. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Episode 51 next.
Give us some comments.
Please subscribe, like. We'll see you next time.